Good morning, Unity. Good morning. Now y'all talk back to a girl. Good morning. Is everybody happy? Good. Today we have an exciting service for you, and we are going to go right on into it and remind you not to get stuck. Keep it moving. Anytime a heart turns from darkness to light, anytime temptation comes and someone stands to fight, anytime somebody lives to serve and not be served, I know God is on the move, hallelujah. God is on the move in many mighty ways. God is on the move, hallelujah. God is on the move today. Woo! Anytime in weakness someone falls upon their knees, or dares to speak the truth that sets men free. Anytime the choice is made to stand upon the word, I know God is on the move, hallelujah. God is on the move in many mighty ways. God is on the move, hallelujah. God is on the move in many ways. The gospel stirs a searching soul, and someone says, send me here I go. I know God is on the move, hallelujah. God is on the move in many mighty ways. God is on the move, hallelujah. God is on the move in many mighty ways. God is on the move, hallelujah. God is on the move in many mighty ways. God is on the move, hallelujah. God is on the move in many mighty ways. I see a generation standing on the truth. In each and every way, saying God is on the move.
Yeah. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, we are on the move. You know what we used to say in church? We used to say, ain't no party like a Holy Ghost party, because a Holy Ghost party don't stop. I don't know. I just went way back then. Anyway, so glad you're here today. Welcome to First Unity Spiritual Campus. This is a place where you are celebrated, not just tolerated. We are a trans-religious, trans-denominational, new thought spiritual community where we open our arms and our hearts, and we are allowing ourselves to be channels of the light and the consciousness that the universe provides to every living being on this planet. That's who we are. Don't ask me to repeat that, because I'll need deep breaths before I do. We declare a blessing into your life because you are a walking, talking blessing. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, you are a blessing. We declare that we are original blessings, not original sin, original blessings. And we're shifting the consciousness of the planet. My name is John Scott, and it's my honor and my privilege to be a part of this team here as the spiritual leader at First Unity Spiritual Campus. If you have your cell phone with you and you don't mind putting it on vibrate, that would be wonderful. If you're a first-time visitor with us and you feel comfortable doing so, just slip your hand up. One of our ushers or spiritual support team would love to bring a Get Acquainted card. Welcome. Yeah, let's hear it. Come on, First Unity. Let's welcome. All right, all right. Those of you who are joining us online, we also want to acknowledge you. Let's welcome our live streamers. Come on. Come on. You're just as much a part of us, even though you may be virtual and abroad around the world. We welcome you into our hearts and into this space. If you're with us for the first time, if you don't mind just sending us a message to let us know, we would love to give to you a gift. Those who are filling out that Get Acquainted card, if you will pass that gift into one of our spiritual support team or ushers toward the end of the service, they want to share with you a gift as well. And we appreciate you joining us online and in person. Every single Sunday, we have opportunities here on the campus, several different opportunities. One is our 9 o'clock, more of a devotional and contemplation service, and it's in our chapel. If the weather permits, it's under the purple tent. It was a little chilly this morning, so we were in the chapel. At 10:30, we provide our chapel meditation in the chapel. And then we have our celebration service at 11 o'clock, which is what you're a part of at this very moment. Receive a deep breath. And let it go. And repeat after me. I am on the move. Come on, spiritual voices.
Closing chapters, I'm turning pages, glory to glory, from faith to faith. I'm moving on, I'm moving on, I'm moving on. I'm getting older, so I'll keep it straight. It hurts to let go, but it hurts more to stay. I'm moving on. Moving on, moving on, moving on, moving on. Hey, 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 hey. I know my review can't compare to what God will do in my life, and I'm forgetting what's behind me. I'm finally decided. Moving on, moving on. Hey, told me,
She taught me well.
what's she talking?
Forget your failures.
And do what?
Forgive yourself and move it on. Move on. Move on. Move on.
Hey,
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 hey. I know my review
can't
compare to
what
God will do in my life, and I'm forgetting what's behind me. I'm finally decided. I know my review can't compare to what God will do in my life, and I'm forgetting what's behind me. I'm finally decided. Hey, I'm moving.
I can't move and dance. Moving, yeah, yeah. Moving, yeah, yeah. Picking up my pants, y'all. One leg out of
Yeah.
moving on, yeah. I can't stay stuck here.
We gotta move on.
We gotta move forward.
We gotta move on.
We gotta move
Yeah.
forward. Keep moving. Keep moving. Keep moving. Gotta move it.
Moving on. Hey.
Moving on.
Moving on.
Moving on.
moving on,
moving on,
moving on, moving on. Hey, hey, I'll keep moving on.
Oh, check y'all out. Good gracious. Daniel and Wanda, y'all putting the groove in the house. That feels good, doesn't it? Doesn't it feel good to feel good? So many people have made fear normal and made pain normal. No, 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 no. We are healed, we are whole, and we are complete, and it feels good to feel good. Yes, it does. Okay, settle down, John. Now is the time, in the order of suggestions, to release our children to the Yes program. But before we do that, I have a special announcement to make today. Somebody say special announcement. We have a new Youth Expressing Spirit director. And Naomi, if you'll wave at everybody. Naomi Walker, right back there, y'all. Oh my goodness. She said, bring your children. Let me tell you something. When she sat down to talk with us, I was buzzing the whole time. I was like, that's what I'm talking about. We've been attracting you into this community. The universe keeps answering. Every time you put out a quest, the universe will answer you. And we've been attracting amazing talent to this place because we're going just a little higher. We're stepping into a higher level of excellence. Naomi, thank you. Thank you for being here. So, Miss Naomi, if you will stand, and I'm going to ask the children, any children in the house to stand? They're not in here at the moment? No? I was going to say, I thought we had some children. I saw them a little bit ago. Well, look at this now. You ask and you shall receive. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to put our hands up toward our children. Let's give them a blessing as they leave the building. We see you as the magnificent beings you are. We speak blessings, safety, and powerful creativity to your life. We bless you. We bless you. And so it is. Yeah. I'm so excited because we are really, that's a part that's so important to me. What I believe is that as we raise families up and we invest in our children, and they begin to see the world through the paradigm of more than enough. More than enough. We don't install our beliefs. We allow them to teach us. But we help to give and facilitate opportunities for them to blossom into the wonderful beings they were sent here to be. There's something just good about that. One of the things that we started doing a few months ago was we started picking an artist for each month. And our artist for this month is Mary Jo Allison. And I'm going to ask Mary Jo, where are you at, Mary Jo? Oh, there you are. Come on down if you would and share with us just a moment. Reverend Richard, if I can have... Thank you so much, Rev. We're going to ask Mary Jo to just share with us what inspired you to begin doing artwork, and then tell us a little bit about your art.
Well, it was actually competition with my brother that started me. If he can do it, I can do it. But my art comes through spirit. So whenever I get stuck in a painting, I just let spirit flow. And I try to honor the animals or the people that I'm painting, and I try to bring their spirit through as well. So what I have to say is that I'm a spiritual being trying to be an artist.
I don't think you're trying. Look, let me tell you, from what I've seen out there, she's not trying. She's doing it. She's doing it. So make sure that you go down the hallway and look at the artwork that's displayed. It's all for sale. You will be investing in your home and in your office when you decide, or giving it a gift to someone else when you decide to get one of her art pieces in the hallway, also in Lagatuda Hall following the service. All right, Wanda Nero Butler and the spiritual voices, come on back.
We are moving in spirit, we're moving. Some of us feel like we're stuck Our life has come to a halt, but I want you to know that mountains are still being raised. Strongholds are still being loosed. God, we see, yes, we receive it. And we know that wonders are what you do. Lisa?
Bodies are still being raised, especially this morning. And giants are still being slain. God, we believe it. Yes, we can see it. That wonders are still what you do.
Yes, bodies, consciousness still being raised. And giants, those things that look too big and too hard, are still being slain. God, we believe. Yes, we can see that wonders are still what you do. We are here for you. Come and do what you do. Invite the Spirit of God in. We are here for you. Come and do what you do. Hearts and minds are set on you. Come and do, God. We need a move. We need to feel you move, God. Stir up the spirit in me. I need to feel the move. 'Cause bodies are still being raised. Giants still being slain. God, we believe it. Yes, we can see that. Wonders are still what you do. We are here. We're vessels. Fill us up, God, so we can move as you. We're here. Yeah. Come and do it. We come and do what you do. 'Cause we need a move. We need a move, yeah. We need to feel your spirit move in this place today. Oh, shower down on us, God. 'Cause miracles happen when God moves. Healing is coming in this room. Miracles happen when God moves. Heaven is coming. It feels like heaven when God moves. Miracles when Spirit moves. Healing is coming in this room. Yeah, miracles happen. Yeah, oh yeah, miracles are wonders. When we open up our minds, when we open up our hearts, yes, miracles. We need a move, we need a move, we need a move. Everybody just lift your hands up. We need a move, we need a move, we need a move. Come on, lift your hands up and just receive what Spirit is dropping. Receive healing. Receive it, receive it, receive it. Healing of the mind, healing of the spirit, healing of the heart. We're going into our sacred space, into our sacred centering. And Reverend Christy Hardwick is going to usher us further into this moment.
In the spirit of movement, we center this meditation in full body presence. We go within. Join me as you are able, seated or standing at your preference. And let's begin grounding in to Mother Earth, going to the core of the earth and imagining the light of the fire within, and begin to allow the illumination of your full body. Celebrating the feet. Breathing light and illumination at the ankles and the knees. Breathing the light and illumination up the spine, seeing the connection of this miracle of a body. Shoulders, arms, hands, the neck, the head, and the energetic field filled with the light of Spirit. Feel your luminosity. You are light. And light is ever in motion. Allow the light of your body to illuminate the space around you and see it swirling to touch every being, every place, every corner. Bring your light to the place of your third eye, that place between and above your eyes. Center there and prepare your full body to receive. We are ready.
So receive a deep breath and give it back. Thank you, Reverend Christy. And namaste. In this space, allow yourself for just a moment to be completely open. Allow the heart space to not be closed by anything. If you find any space in the body that seems to be uncomfortable, in pain or distress, give it an invitation now to let go for these few moments. In fact, let go of anything. Anything that's necessary will be there to pick up later. Allow the nirvana to be present with you now. Nirvana simply means to empty out, to let go. I have nothing to hold on to, nowhere to be, nothing to do, no one to be, to simply be here now. As you start to come back into this space, into this physical realm, maybe allow your fingers and toes to wiggle a little bit. Maybe stretch if you need to. You can bring your hands out in front of you and rub them together if you want to sort of feel the energy. Transitioning and transferring from hand to hand. Allow the love to illuminate your being. And gently open your eyes as you feel so led to do. And I will say to you, I honor you. I honor you. Yeah. Isn't it fun to play on that astral plane of all that's open and available? I like to call it yummy. It's so beautiful. In this affirming place, we are beginning to move into what people who utilize the calendar call it a new year. For the sake of communication, I will too. But let us always remember that those are constructs. Just as time is a construct, and how we measure it is a construct. It's not a bad thing, it's just a construct. And as long as we recognize it as such, then we realize that we're playing with this life that we're living as eternal beings. Because then you become unafraid. I was telling someone just the other day that when this body was really struck by COVID back in 2021, it was a wonderful gift. I mean, I didn't think of it as that when I had COVID, because I ended up in the hospital and there was a lot of things going on, and this life was threatened. But it was amazing, Reverend Christy, during the whole process. I was telling Steve, that's who I was telling, I guess. We were talking about health and well-being, and the doctor sat down next to me. I'll never forget his face, and he said, Mr. Scott, if you'd have waited another 24 hours, I cannot promise that you would be here. What we're going to do over these next few hours is going to be very hard for you because your body's already exhausted. You're already in pain, you're tired, you're uncomfortable, but we have to do these things, X, Y, and Z, in order to get your body back into alignment so that your physical health can return. And I remember it was such a weird experience because the only time I've spent the night in the hospital was when I was born or caring for someone else. No, really, I stayed overnight with my mother when she had open heart surgery, but not me as a patient. And so it required a lot of patience on my part because I don't like hospitals, you know. And I remember looking him right in the face, and it came out of me before I could even stop it. I said, "Doc, you're the mechanic. This is my car. Whatever you think needs to be done, do it. And if it works, cool. And if it doesn't, cool." And he just looked at me like I had grown a new forehead. And I know he was thinking in his head, yeah, that's that 104 temperature. You out your crazy mind. But it was very calm to go to that. And so I came out of that with the blessing was I came out not afraid of death. I mean, I just am not. I got to be honest with you. I mean, even though he said, you know, apparently my body was close, I know this body is only temporary anyway. This is why I've quit identifying with it. So when people struggle about how they're identifying with life, I am learning and unfolding into the true nature of who I am, which wonderful thing about that is I get to live in this condo while I'm here, this spacesuit. But one day I'm going to unzip it and just step right out of it into whatever the next incarnation is. And some people think that's crazy, but that's because our world has normalized things that are really unnatural. What is natural to you is for you to recognize your divinity, but we've been taught to be afraid of it. And so many of us have been taught also to be afraid of our own humanity. So I was thinking about all of those things as I was thinking about this new year, and awakening me in 23 is what came. So somebody said, would you please unpack that a little? And it's a big suitcase, so it's going to take a minute. Not today. Look at your neighbor and say, neighbor, you're lucky. He said, not today. It's going to take a little bit of time, overtime, to unpack it. So this is what came to me this week, and so I'll allow it to just try to let it flow the way it was flowing to me this week, okay? It's just, I really do much better personally when I speak extemporaneously more than in rigidity, because I think rigidity for me is I don't know, it's just a little sticky. But I'll give it to you how it's been coming to me, okay? It reminded me of this old writing that said, "Let this mind be in you," or "Let this way of thinking be in you." I'm going to ask that we suspend our logistical, statistical, and limited mindsets as we go through this process. Can we do that? I'm asking you to do it because I promise you the only way I've ever reached a place of peace in my life was to suspend what I had been told and taught. And not as much as what I'd been taught, but what I'd caught. Because I think growing up, there's more caught than taught anyway. It's osmosis. I don't know what Moses has to do with it, but it's osmosis. It seems to be that the environment affects the organism. And so I'm asking us to take just be willing and brave enough. Say, I am brave enough to suspend my beliefs, allowing space for truth. You see, I realize that the truth is what makes me free, not my beliefs. In fact, more often than not, my beliefs lock me into a particular way of thinking, or at least seeing the world in a particular way. That's why when people used to ask me about reading the Bible, they would say, what's the right way to read it? And I would say, there is no right way or wrong way to read it. You're going to read it as you anyway, not as it is. The words will never be interpreted as the writers wrote because they're not here to tell you what they were trying to say or even what they were seeing. This is one of the reasons that even St. Paul said to people who didn't have the Bible at the time, study to show yourself approved, a workman that needs not be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. See, the problem is that it's been wrongly connected so much that rightly dividing it is no longer an option. Most of us just need to put it aside for a minute. And yes, I just said, close your Bible for a little bit. If you have one, you may as well close it. Mine's collecting dust. Because the word dwells within you, through you, and as you, not according to someone else's writing. It doesn't even matter what the Holy writ is. It's only holy if you believe it's holy. So, allow this mind to be in you. Allow yourself to practice a particular way of thinking that gives permission within this body temple to enter into a space of joy and bliss. I'm going to ask you this year to have fun with me. For us to be adventurous this year. To not be stuck in the rut. See, a rut, the only difference between a rut and a grave is how deep it is. It's the only difference. Many of us are dying in our ruts because we have a particular belief system. It has to be this way. And the people who say it has to be this way are people who are not allowing the creative invention possibility to come into their consciousness to create something new. If it's uncomfortable, if you don't like it, if it's painful, you do not have to endure it. You can create something new. You are a creative being created by the Creator with the source presence within you. I refuse to bow my knee to something I'm uninterested in doing, so stop doing it. Somebody say, stop doing what you don't enjoy. That includes the jobs, y'all. Listen, if you do what you love, you'll never work a day of your life. Oh, but my mama told me. I know and I understand. Your mama probably came through the Depression and she was probably still depressed from it. Because there was a particular belief system installed during that time that said you had to work harder to get ahead in life. I'm telling you, you were born with a head in life. Use it. Use it. Let's move out of this idea that we have to struggle and that we have to face challenge every single day. Your life does not have to be a challenge. You decide how challenging it will be. I don't even know if there's a single problem in the world. I just think there's some things that have not completed their unfolding yet. All three of us. There's nothing serious in life. There's nothing serious in life. I understand you might be feeling that it's serious. See, I don't deal with life seriously, and that's why some people they get really ticked with me. They say, do you ever take anything serious? No, there's some things I have reverence for. Life doesn't have to be serious, it can be reverential. And then you can rev it up anytime you get ready because you have that reverential idea within you that you are limitless and that all of the possibilities are available to you. See, the Creator is trying to train us to create. So we, like children, are often given Play-Doh and we don't know what to do with it. So we create a bunch of stuff out of it and then we get mad about it when it solidifies because we didn't keep enough fluidity in it for it to stay mushy. That's called religion. And that's called rigidity. So one of the first things that I believe had to happen with me for awakening, and by the way, when people say, what is awakening? I don't know, okay? I don't know. I can't describe it to you because it's beyond description, just beyond label, just kind of like God. We call it God because we don't know anything else to call it. That's not even a proper terminology for it, but we just use it because we're trying to communicate with each other. Y'all get what I'm saying? Somebody said, well, what is consciousness? If I ask somebody, who are you? And somebody has been living some kind of a spiritual practice, they might say consciousness. But then when I go further and say, what's that? If you really are conscious, you'll say, I have no idea. Because there's not a build around ideas or concepts. It's allowing it to flow to us and through us and as us. It's the allowance of it. So the first thing that had to happen for me was I had to have a shift in my identity. See, many of us have an identity crisis because we were told all of our life to be somebody. My return journey to awakening was to return to nobody. So I'm studying the art of nobodiness. And it's not that I don't recognize that I don't have a body. I do have a body. But this is not the sum total of me. I don't want to belabor this point, and I repeat some things sometimes because I think we're all still trying to figure it out, and maybe it's just me that's trying to figure it out. But this body does stuff sometimes that I don't even understand why it did it. So I know I'm not this body. I wasn't even thinking about that particular function, and all of a sudden it showed up. Spontaneous chaos. So I had to let go of identifying with temporary material things. This is one of the reasons some of our friends in the Buddhist faith actually meditate in morgues. I've heard people say, well, now that's just sick. No, it's dead. But they meditate in mortuaries next to those dead envelopes so that they can remember what's permanent and what isn't. And oddly enough, when you let go of identifying with this particular space and time life, you start to become even more eternal. You start to move past the necessity of living and into the joy of living. I want to say that again because I'm not sure you heard me. You move past the necessity of living and into the joy of living. See, life is not meant to be survived. So many of us never even thrive living our lives because we're too busy trying to survive it. So I had to move past an identity with these temporary material things. I am not what I have. I am not what I can do. None of these things are me. Even if there are things I can do and things I happen to have at the moment, none of them are me. So I had to have a shift in my identity. And when shift happens, it's a holy shift. Number 2, I had to allow myself to have a sense of openness and curiosity. Instead of being slammed shut by belief, I was wide open to all that's possible. Instead of being locked into a particular logistical and statistical way of living, I had to open myself up to what is possible. You see, even in the word impossible is I'm possible. Anybody with me? You understand? That what I'm saying is real faith is inviting us out into the unknown. And what do people fear the most? But you don't really. Not naturally. You don't believe that? Watch kids. They do the strangest stuff all the time because they haven't bought the idea to fear the unknown. This could be why I was just clapping. I'm going to go back and listen to this tape myself. This is probably why Jesus, the great way shower, said, "Come to me like little children." This is why we heard terminologies about being born again. This is why we heard within the Vedic tradition about regenerative life. To regenerate is to generate again. Why? Because sometimes we get stuck in the first generation. And it becomes our iteration. And our procrastination, because we forgot that we came from the constellations. Anyway, Richard, I'm hoping Daddy Carlton will watch this so he can be proud of what I just did. So I had to start asking questions. Asking questions, because asking questions will send you on a quest. Questions are answers in seed form. Questions are answers in seed form. You plant the question, the answer will arrive. So I started asking questions. And then I began to attract information into my life that does not just inform me, but transforms me. Let me tell you something about inspiration and information. Information is really just nothing more than a lot of data. And the great thing about data is that it can be very helpful, but it can also be very hurtful if all you think of it is in terms of form, to create a stagnant or a static formula. But if you will allow information to transform you, you begin to move on. You begin to expand. You begin to grow your wings and you begin to fly. Some of us are scared of transformation, but it's within you already. I've told you before, I'm going to write a book one day, and probably me putting it out into the universe is probably saying, you better write it, or I'm going to give somebody else the inspiration to write it. But I'm going to write a book one day titled An Interview with a Caterpillar. Because if you ask a caterpillar if it believes it can fly, it would probably just laugh at you, because it's a worm. But within it is all of the potential to fly. But who would believe it until you see it? This is why we must believe it, and then we will see it. Number 3, I had to practice the discipline of surrender and letting go. Haven't we talked about that enough? Apparently not. Let me step back a minute. Information that doesn't lead to transformation just leads to stagnation or I'll say it the way I've said it before. Information without enough inspiration will lead to the inflammation of yourself and soul. Information can transform, or it can just make you be deeper in form and in the formula that you've been using up to this point. So I had to learn to let go. In the Bhagavad Gita, it says, the person whose mind is always free from attachment, who has subdued the mind and senses, and who is free from desires, attains supreme perfection of freedom from karmic debt. Back that back up again. There's a little, I'm going to unpack that for just a minute, because there's some things you can see in this if you look for it. The person whose mind is always free. Whose mind is always free? Now, see, the initial thing we say is that it can't happen. Then it won't. I said a lot just then. If you don't believe it can happen, it will not. There's an old quote that says, if you believe you can do something, you probably can. If you believe you can't, you most assuredly will not. It's not that you can't, it's that you will not to. This is why when I hear people say, I don't believe peace is possible, then I look at them and say, so be it unto you, such as you believe. Peace is possible. Not if you're looking for it out there. When I'm talking about shifting your identity, and I'm talking about changing the way you see the world, and I'm talking about being open and having a curiosity, I'm not talking about you asking anyone else to do it. Too often in spiritual community or church or temple or synagogue or wherever it is that you go, too often we think the message is for the person next to us. Probably your husband. The only reason you don't nudge anymore is because you got ticked one time and didn't talk to each other for 3 days. But your hands are right there. You want to nudge him so bad you can't stand it. Right? Because many of us think these messages are for somebody else. This is why the information is causing inflammation in some and causing transformation in others. Because the thing is, the fifth principle from Unity Worldwide, and this showed up years and years later after Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. It was their granddaughter, actually, who formulated the 5 Unity principles. But in the fifth principle, it says very clearly in the principle that if you're not going to do any of the 4 things previously mentioned, it's not going to do you any good. What is your activity like? The person who is free from attachment and whose mind is always free from attachment. Who does that? I want you to think about the attachments that you have right at this present moment. I'm reminded of a Zen story. There was a Buddhist monk. The Buddhist monk was a wonderful teacher. Had gathered to himself in the village a lot of people who were coming to session, meditations, and sangha, and experiencing wonderful transformations. He was known as a light of love and compassion, and people just talked about him like he was just something else. One day, this little girl is 16 years old, finds out she's pregnant. She goes to her mom and dad and she says, well, I've been meeting with the monk and I'm pregnant and it's the monk's baby. 16 years old. And the mom and dad get exactly, I heard it in the room. You said, what? Huh? So they get all upset, literally all upset. And they begin to murmur and talk about the monk until they can finally go and see the monk. And they decide that they're going to just sow the discord, and they're going to allow the baby to be born. And when the baby is born, they're taking the baby to the monk for the monk to raise. So when the baby is born, that's exactly what they do. They take the baby to the monk. They walk up to the door, they rap on the door, and then the door opens, and the monk sees them. And the monk knows that they're the ones who've been spreading rumors about him. And they look at him and they say, this baby is yours, and how dare you? He takes the baby in his arms, he looks at the baby, he looks at them, and he says, so. He goes back into his home. Years go by, about 2.5 years, he's raising this child, and no one comes to hear him anymore. No one comes to meditation. No one comes to Sangha anymore. In fact, he's nearly destitute, but he spends all his time and his monies on this baby. 2 years goes by, and finally the girl can't stand it anymore. She goes to her mom and dad, and she says, I lied to you. It was the boy down the way, and we were scared. We were afraid. But the monk didn't do this to me. They have a crying session and they're, oh my God, what are we going to do? We've ruined this man's life and your baby, and what do we do? So they go back to the monk and they apologize to the monk and they ask, can we please have the baby back? And we're so sorry. And you know what his response is? He looks at the baby and he looks at the parents and he looks at the baby and he hands the baby back to them and he says, so. And they looked at him and they said, what do you mean so? What does that mean? It's what you said when we came and accused you. What do you mean? He said, I have no attachments. Not even to your reputation. Do you know your reputation was destroyed in this village? And he said, so. When you look back over that story, you think, how terrible. Or what if that baby, in its first 2 years, got to be raised by a solid and powerful guru, and got installed into its little mind the power of non-attachment. Now, some people would say, no. Now, that kind of non-attachment leads to abuse. The story didn't really happen that way, but the point is still powerful. Non-attachment can become a way of life. Now, I'm not even alluding to me perfecting it. I'm saying that the mind, though, that is free of attachment is able to subdue the mind and become free of the senses. The one who is free of desires attains supreme perfection of freedom from karmic debt. You can become free through the practice of non-attachment. Now, notice I said practice of non-attachment. Is this hard? Is this a challenge? It has been for me. Is it a challenge? Let's tell the truth about it. Yes, it's a challenge. It's a challenge to be curious beyond what I've come to believe very firmly. It's a challenge to not be attached to my opinions and my agendas. It's a challenge. I've been challenged since the first of the year with that very thing. But my practice in this life is to be attached to any of this impermanent stuff. Let somebody else fight over the stuff. Let somebody else decide to be that stressed. Let somebody else spend their life in those circumstances. I refuse to spin my wheels in any of those circumstances. I will not do it. Is it always easy to deny that? No, it's not always easy. But I'm finding peace in that beautiful will of truth. I'm going to ask if we step down to the notes just a little bit, Stevie, because there's a couple of things I'd like to say about this particular portion of this. I believe the awakening process is calling us all up a little higher. Our whole being, not just our spirit, not just our mentality, but even our body. I'm talking about our emotions, our will, our feelings, our thoughts. I'm asking us to begin to see our emotions as children we're raising to maturity. The 6 basic human emotions are happiness, sadness, anger, disgust, surprise, and fear. I had a friend ask me just recently, what do you do with the feelings of fear and sadness? And all I could think of was love them too. Treat them like your children. You have 6 children. Ronnie, I used to say I have 5 children as far as I know. The universe corrected me. I have 6 children, and they're my emotions. I want you to think about this for just a minute. Just flatter me for a moment, okay? Just hang out with me for a second. Let's just say that your emotions are your children. Which ones do you love the most? Which ones do you neglect? Which ones do you raise? Which ones do you nurture? Because I used to see fear as a big monster standing in the corner with gnarly teeth and I used to see anger standing over there right next to me. And sadness was a faceless monster for me for a long time, also standing in the shadows. Until I invited them to sit down with their siblings. And I said to them, I will love all of you equally. Let me tell you, the reason that anger gets to the place where it's ruling our life, what does this have to do with awakening? I'm talking about calling our whole being up higher. Let's stop judging our emotions. Let's start utilizing them and bringing them together as a family. The reason that anger acts like a toddler throwing things around and pitching a fit is because you forgot to raise it to maturity. I hadn't heard that one in a minute. Come on in the room. See, we look at anger and we want to cast it out instead of bringing it in close. Are you listening to me this morning? I'm talking about integrating your whole being into this awakening process. What would happen if you looked at anger when it was pitching a fit and said, baby, what can I do for you right now? How can I make you feel better right now? What can I do to serve you as a parent in this moment? What if you fed it nurturing food? What if you clothed it? What if instead of neglecting it and sending it to its room, you allowed it to play in the same space with happiness? Is that so hard? Anger is not bad. But anger immature becomes malice and hatred. Anger, when it's matured and it's in unison with you, raises the whole being. And now you've got a whole family to do this life with that loves you like the parent you're supposed to be. I'm talking about, I wasn't going to do this, but I'm going to go here right here. It is said that Jesus had 12 disciples. Jesus is not a bad word, by the way. It is said that Jesus had 12 disciples. What if those disciples were nothing but faculties on the inside of him? Never human beings, but faculties within his own self. And if you don't raise up your disciples, they'll deny you, betray you, turn their back on you, and they'll leave you in your greatest time of need. What if they're not disciples anyway? They're disciplines. What if you are the Christ, a child of the living God, and your calling in this life is to call your disciplines from wherever they've been and integrate them into your ministry of this life? Your emotions are the same. They're not your enemy. Anger actually can be one of your best support in this life. Because anger mature does not allow you to stop when people are abusing you. Anger mature gives you safe and wonderful boundaries. Matured anger gives you the fuel that you need to change injustice and inequality. Anger matured gives you the fuel that you need to stand up for who you are. So this is going to be a challenging year in the way of challenging your old paradigm, because I'm asking you to invite sadness for dinner. Reach out to that estranged child. Bring sadness and anger to the table too. Integrate them into the process of what you're doing. Call up your disciples, your disciplines. Prepare to have a miraculous ministry. The only way you ever will is if you learn to integrate all of these into this space. God's calling, trying to tell you that I'm telling you the truth. And I think God uses Verizon, because it's or an iPhone. With this declaration, I am the Christ, the child of the living God, there comes a need to look at the operation of what it means to be a Christ person in the world. Remembering that Christ is not Jesus' last name. Christ really is just another word for consciousness, expansion. So why are you using it? Because it's been utilized many generations. It means one who is sent. One who is anointed and appointed. It's just speaking to the power that you are. It's that essence within you that is much deeper than all the physical norms. So can we allow ourselves for just a moment, because we're closing now, to receive a deep breath. And let go. This week I'm asking that instead of seeing anger as a big monster, or even fear as a big monster, see those emotions as beautiful children who have a wonderful use in this life. They're waiting for you to love them and to direct them. They're asking you to shift from identifying with an old paradigm. This awakening is inviting us to become more curious and more open. It's inviting us into the practice, really the real practice of letting go of attachments. Can I release and let go? Yes, you can. Will you? Is the question. Receive a deep breath into the body temple. And exhale. Look up at me, if you would, for just a moment. Whatever was said today that resonates with you, take it with you and meditate on it. Whatever was said that doesn't, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Eat what you want to eat and leave the rest for somebody else. I'm so glad I'm not responsible for people's life anymore. Nobody to save. Life is good. Life is good. Everybody good? Maybe stretch just a little bit. A few announcements as we start to bring the service to conclusion. We're still continuing to gather in socks for the homeless folks in our area. So please drop off any sock donations into the homeless receptacle in the lobby by the box office. Okay, so just outside of these doors and directly ahead at that desk is the box office. We're continuing to do that. On Tuesday evenings, we have started back our Course in Miracles in Lagatuda Hall at 7 p.m. on Tuesday evenings. You are invited to be a part of that. January the 9th, 7 p.m. That is tomorrow for 4 Mondays. And then Saturday, February the 4th, we are going to be hosting Radical Self-Tenderness, but it's brought to you by Reverend Christy Hardwick. And it's a book workshop. Reverend Christy is going to be leading that in room 300. If you're not sure where that's at, make sure you ask for information on that. In room 300. January the 10th at 6 p.m. is our Discovery membership class. That's going to be in room 300 as well. So that is this next Tuesday at 6 p.m. is Discovery membership class. If you want to go to that class, please sign up today. We'd love to know if you want to be a member of this community more officially. January the 20th at 7 p.m., we have our presence presentation. I'm going to ask Reverend Wander, where are you at right now? If you'll come out and tell us just real quick a little bit about presence and the offering that's going to be available. And that I believe is at 7 p.m., right?
Yes, 7 p.m. Those of you who have experienced presence, share that knowledge with someone else. But it's really a spiritual soak. It's a soak. And we come and the room is saturated with positive energy, and we invite the angels in and the ancestors, and we just sit and heal. We bring water. We ask that you bring a container of water to soak up all of that positivity that we generate in the room. It's a very spiritual service. So we ask that you come on out. Some get physical healing. Some heal in the important parts where Pastor was talking about her. Some, our minds are healed. Our hearts are healed. Our emotions are healed and developed. So come on out and just enjoy that spiritual soak. Just soak in the presence soak in the presence.
Beautiful. And what a gift, huh? What a gift to have that presence. You can have that microphone if you want. Oh, here's something new on our calendar. And if you didn't get a handout at the front, make sure you pick one up on the way out. January the 25th from 10 to 11 a.m., we have our Senior Fitness Bi-Weekly Fitness Program under the purple tent. Senior Fitness. Any seniors getting fit or fitting too? January the 28th from 9 to 10, we have Zumba. It's our bi-weekly Purple Tent Zumba. Anybody Zumba? If you haven't before, it's fun stuff. Zumba. Oh yeah, okay, don't get me started. January the 29th, we're going to have a fireside chat right in here with yours truly. We're going to be sharing about the vision of this community and sharing about the survey that has gone out. If you have not seen the survey, the best way to see it is to go to the newsletter or to the website, firstunity.org. Go to our website and go to the calendar on the website and click there to find that survey, to complete the survey and submit it to us. But we want to be able to talk with you. We want to be a community that's always transparent with each other as we move through this new year together. All right, if you are willing to support this community financially, now is the time to consider doing that. I'm going to ask the ushers, if you will, to come forward. I'm going to offer you the opportunity to give. You can give in check, or you can also give digitally. If you want to text to give, you can do that at 727-800-3493. Or you can use the QR code that our wonderful ushers will have on the plate to also click on that code and be able to give digitally. Those who are joining us online, if you'll go to our website or to our app, you'll find that yellow heart. And if you want to tap that yellow heart, that's a way to give. I'm going to ask us to stand if you would, and on your handout should be the abundance prayer. And I'll ask us to recite that abundance prayer together, if you will. The abundance of God is my infinite source. I now open my mind and heart to give and receive all God's good, all God's prosperity, all God's abundance. As God is my source, all things are possible, and so it is. And so it is. Not going back, I'm moving ahead. I'm here to declare to you, my past is over in you. All things are made new. Surrendered my life to Christ. I'm moving forward. What a moment. You have brought me to such a freedom I have found in you. You're the healer who makes all things anew. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, not going back, moving ahead. I'm here to declare to you, my past is over in you. All things are made new. Surrender my life to Christ. Moving forward. Help me now. You have risen with all power in your hands. You have given me a second chance. Hallelujah, hallelujah. forward. Not going back. So one of the wonderful talents within our community is Iman Holdridge. And Iman reached out to me a couple of months ago, and Iman said, I got this song that I just want you to hear and see if you like it. And I like it. And she wrote this for this community. And so we're going to sing it together. I'm going to ask you if you want to just stand, but it's basically this song is a possible somewhat of a replacement for our peace song. The peace song can't be replaced, but this is an opportunity for us to share together. I love the affirmation in this song.
Come on, put your hands together. We gonna vote. We gotta get them all in though. By this we shall know what true love is. Come on, help me, voices. Showing the world our unity. That's what true love is. We are one in spirit. We are one in spirit. That's what true love is. Manifesting light throughout the world. Manifesting light throughout the world. That's what true love is. Here we grow. Here we grow together. Here we grow together. Here we grow together. Here we grow together. All right, come on, tenor, sing this. Growing together is what we do. Come on, tenors, all over the room. Growing together, come on. Growing together is what we do. All right, altos, sing this. Grow is what we do. Come on, altos, try it out. Come on, grow is what we do. All right, soprano, here's yours. Growing together. Growing together. Growing together is what we do. Growing together. Growing together. All right, put it all together. Come on. Growing together is what we do. Growing together is what we do. Come on. Growing together is what we do. Growing together is take it up. Growing together is what we do. Come on, growing together, sing unity. Growing together is what we do. Come on, two more times. Growing together, let me hear you. Growing together is what we do. One more time. Growing together. Growing together is what we do. Hey now. Here we grow together. Here we grow together. Here we grow together. Here we
And please remain standing. Let's give another round of applause to Iman and our Unity voices. Yes. And as we grow together, we affirm our unity prayer. It's on the back of your program. The light of God surrounds us. I am the light. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love. The power of God protects us. I am the power. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And remember, have the best day ever, because you can.
Kitchen.